It's Monday, November 16th, and this is Now on HNN.
The president-elect and I are focused on building our country back better.
As President-elect Biden focuses on the economy, President Trump focuses on how to overturn the results of the election. I'm Michael George in Wilmington, Delaware, with what both say about the next step forward.
As we're heading into the second half of November and then December, January, where the surges will be largest.
State leaders say current face mask rules are too difficult to enforce, and they're suggesting some changes.
As COVID cases surge across the country, new data shows Moderna's coronavirus vaccine could be nearly 95% effective. I'm Chris Martinez with the promising results.
What the hell's your problem?
I apologize. I'm sorry.
Plus, a local radio DJ is suspended after comments about a musician's struggle with homelessness. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
What's up, everyone? Jonathan and Ashley here, coming to you from the H&N Digital Center. So nice to be back with you here on this Monday. And despite there now being more than 11 million global cases, there is some promising news to report today in that race for vaccine.
That's right. A week after Pfizer announced its vaccine was looking to be 90% effective, competitor Moderna says its preliminary data shows its vaccine is more than 94% effective. That news brings much needed hope in the fight against COVID-19, especially at a time when many hospitals on the mainland are stretched to capacity. Chris Martinez has more.
In a study of 30,000 participants, scientists found the Moderna vaccine to be 94.5% effective. Dr. Lindsay Baden at Brigham and Women's Hospital was one of the study investigators.
It is an incredibly encouraging event and such a strong step in the correct direction to stop COVID transmission.
Moderna's results follow Pfizer's announcement last week that its vaccine is more than 90% effective. Both companies expect to have some doses available to high-risk individuals by the end of the year and widespread distribution by spring 2021.
We've got to actually double down on public health measures as the vaccine now phases in.
And not a moment too soon, hospitals in Utah are close to reaching a breaking point. In El Paso, Texas, inmates loaded bodies onto mobile morgue trucks over the weekend. With cases and hospitalizations smashing records, at least 27 states have imposed new coronavirus restrictions on businesses and gatherings. In Michigan, the governor announced a 3-week freeze on indoor dining and in-person learning for high school and college students.
If we don't take aggressive action right now, we could soon see 1,000 deaths per week here in Michigan.
North Dakota's Republican governor has implemented a statewide mask mandate.
I hate wearing the mask, but I think if it helps society move along with this, then let's just give it a try.
Here in California, weekly coronavirus cases have doubled in the last month, with nearly 7,000 new cases reported in Los Angeles County over the weekend. Officials worry Thanksgiving gatherings could spread the virus even more.
And Chicago is now under a stay-at-home order. Many people made final grocery store runs last night, leaving some store shelves empty. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Surge on the mainland and the holidays right around the corner. Many local officials are pushing for a more strict mask mandate. Jolani Martinez has more on that.
Lieutenant Governor Josh Green says the current mask mandate is not enough. He says the only penalty that's available to enforce is the violation of quarantine or pandemic rules, which is a misdemeanor.
And it's very difficult because that sends people to court. The courts will back up. It's too difficult to actually enforce.
Green says mask wearing rates have ranged between 70 to 80%. But if you can't get over 90% consistently, he says you're going to see a spread. The lieutenant governor says a mask mandate should require a small penalty where police can issue a ticket right away.
The goal really needs to be to put a $100 fine or $75 fine on people who break the mask mandate, who go to a club and they're not wearing a mask, who go to the beach and are in a group and are not wearing a mask.
Green suggests masks be used when social distancing is not possible in a social setting and at work. He says masks would not be required if you're exercising alone, if you can social distance, or you're in the ocean. Some residents support issuing a new mandate and its requirements.
Groups, family gatherings, cops can be lenient on them. They just got to give them a ticket. Once they know that you're around, it will work.
Find these people if they're not wearing their mask and they refuse to wear it and they're stubborn about it. Find them, give them a fine, something that they'll remember. Hey, I need to wear my mask. I can't afford to keep paying fines.
While others feel the existing one is enough.
I think the regular mask is fine, and I mean everyone says it's not good, but as long as you're wearing it and keeping it covered, and if the person next to you is wearing it, then it's like fine. It's just a mask. I think it's fine.
Green says the issuance of a new mask mandate can't be done through an emergency proclamation. It has to be done through legislation because of the way the statutes is written.
As we're heading into the second half of November and then December, January, where the surges will be largest. And I'd hate to wait until the session begins next year to get that change. We'll make it through without that, but it will make things more difficult. So a mask mandate would really help us.
Green says the mask mandate would have exemptions for people with lung conditions like COPD or asthma. He says face shields aren't adequate without a face covering. Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
It's been 1 month since tourism reopened, and since then, more than 182,000 passengers have arrived in Hawaii, according to the Hawaii Tourism Authority. This number includes trans-Pacific visitors, returning residents, and intended residents from October 15th to November 14th. It does not include inter-island flights and any passengers from Canada. Hawaii was seeing at least 25,000 passengers a day during the same time last year. Despite the uptick in COVID-19 cases nationwide, many people are still planning to travel to celebrate the upcoming holidays. Dan Sheneman has more.
With the majority of 2020 being spent at home, people are anxious to travel again.
Anywhere from 30 to 50% of Americans are planning to travel over this holiday season. In fact, 80% of all trips for this fall are going to be road trips. And that's because the car just offers so much security to people. It's your own space, right? You know who's going to be with you.
Health and safety are on the top of everyone's wish list, especially while traveling.
Since the early days of this pandemic, airlines have been leaning into science to help guide their decisions.
Nearly 1 billion people have traveled by air, and only 44 cases of COVID have been linked to direct transmission on a plane.
If you are planning on traveling, experts say be prepared for crowds and be patient.
Those days like Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, Sunday on the return are going to be the busier days, both at the airports and on the roads.
Because of the ongoing pandemic, COVID-conscious consumers are expected to wait until the last minute to book any getaways.
They don't want last-minute surprises and have to cancel any trips that they do plan.
And for those who have yet to decide if they'll be home for the holidays, there are some deals to be had, but prepare to be flexible.
The airlines have seen a lot of capacity cuts on routes, so there may not be as many seats flying to some of these smaller destinations.
Regardless of if, where, or how you are traveling this holiday season, experts say follow the 3 W's. Wear a mask, wait 6 feet apart, and wash your hands. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
The process of reopening the state's hotels continues this week. Howard Dykes reports.
Kona's King Kamehameha Hotel, a courtyard hotel now, reopens today. So does the Ritz-Carlton Kapalua. The Westin Hapuna Beach reopens this coming Friday, and so will the Hana Maui Hotel. Some resorts just opened over the weekend, including the Grand Wailea, and 3 Big Island properties, the Mauna Lani, the Fairmont Orchid, and Hilton Waikoloa Village. Hilton Hawaiian Village reopens December 15. Turtle Bay and Royal Hawaiian reopen December 1st, along with the Queen Kapiolani Hotel in Waikiki and Maui's Ka'anapali Beach Hotel. Still closed, mostly for renovations, are Halekulani, Four Seasons Ko'olina, the Outrigger Reef, and Volcano House. International trade wars have local consequences. Koloa Rum was preparing its first shipment to Europe when the EU retaliated for Trump trade tariffs by imposing its own trade tariffs on a variety of American products, including rum. Kahlua rum revenue is down 70% since COVID.
We've learned that just about 30% of the coronavirus relief funds awarded to the state have been spent. That's according to the Hawaii Data Collaborative. That means $876 million needs to be used by the end of the year before it goes into the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. Sammy Salina joins us with much more.
Yeah, that's right. We're here with Jill Tokuda. She is with the Hawaii Data Collaborative. They're tracking this data, and you know, the attention on is how fast this money is getting out. But one of your big concerns is what happens January 1st when all of that money that isn't spent goes into that unemployment trust fund, and we don't have those funds anymore to spend for the categories that we're talking about.
Absolutely. So I think what's very clear is the rate of spend down that we're seeing by no means reflects the big needs that we have as a community, whether it's for COVID testing and contact tracing, whether it's for housing support, feeding people, helping businesses. And the big issue really becomes, one, we've got to spend down those funds that were meant to help people and our businesses and communities by that deadline. And yes, we're not giving any of that money back to the federal government. You know, any leftover money is made clear it's going to go into the Unemployment Trust Fund. But the reality is we have really relied on billions of dollars of support as a state that have come in to help buffer individuals and businesses through this pandemic. And that's not going to end on January 1st. There's no magic wand where everything turns back to normal. So how, as a state, do we sustain a lot of these efforts and programs that have really helped our community survive all this time? So I think that is, for many of us personally, a big concern, is that big $10.3 billion cliff I talk about, where it has really helped our community, but we've got to configure how do we now bridge that cliff and that gap that we're going to see on January 1st.
There are a lot of different issues that you guys are tracking, whether it's Department of Education spending or PPE, different things that these categories are budgeted for. Can you tell me, you know, what you guys are looking at, what you're tracking, some of the concerns that you have for these different categories?
Well, first I will say this, that it's been an amazing partnership between the state, the various agencies, Budget and Finance, Office of Federal Roads Management, and a lot of private sector individuals who have been concerned about this. This is unprecedented to have real-time tracking, you know, as real-time as you can get, of dollars coming through the state, especially when we're talking about billions of dollars, so that we can make sure it gets funded, and not only that, but spent down. You know, I think of real concern right now is taking a look at those awards that have literally no expenditures to date, or those that are only slowly trickling down with expenditures. So right now we have about $282 million or so in awards, where you've got less than 50% that's been either spent or obligated in some way. We've now got to quickly make sure that those dollars, whether it be for contact tracing and COVID testing, whether it be for housing supports or businesses, we've got to quickly see them turn into expenditures by the end of the year, so that help for those programs and those communities get to where it needs to go.
President-elect Joe Biden gave a speech today about how he'll address the economy still reeling from the pandemic. Michael George is at the White House.
President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris laid out their economic plans after meeting with business and labor leaders.
The President-elect and I are focused on building our country back better.
President Trump is still blocking the transition of power, tweeting Monday morning, "I won the election." But the president's own national security advisor is signaling his readiness to begin the transition process.
If the Biden-Harris ticket is determined to be the winner, and it's, you know, obviously things look that way now, we'll have a very professional transition from the National Security Council. There's no question about it.
Meanwhile, calls from Republicans for the president to accept the election outcome continue to grow louder.
This COVID-19 is spreading all across the country. Hospitals are overflowing. People are dying. And our economy is collapsing. And the president is tweeting all day and night about beating Joe Biden instead of focused on let's have a really successful next couple of months in focusing on these problems.
President-elect Biden's COVID advisory team is planning consultations with vaccine manufacturers this week as they plan a pandemic response without cooperation from the Trump administration. Monday, Moderna announced its coronavirus vaccine is 94.5% effective in trials, just a week after Pfizer announced similar results for its vaccine. President Trump praised the vaccine announcement on Twitter, pointing to a rise in the stock market and adding, "Please remember that these great discoveries all took place on my watch." President-elect Biden warns that while the news is positive, the nation is still possibly months away from widely distributing a COVID vaccine. Michael George, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Former President Barack Obama is detailing what it was like in the White House through his new memoirs. The first of 2 volumes, A Promised Land, covers the first 4 years of his presidency. Obama writes about the trials and tribulations of serving as commander-in-chief and the division he says his election caused in the country. The 768-page memoir comes out tomorrow. This is Mr. Obama's 3rd memoir, but his first covering his presidency.
Well, this next story has a lot of people talking online. The radio station Island 98.5 has suspended one of its DJs after he made some insensitive comments about homelessness. Let's turn it over now to Billy V, who has the update.
Slick Vic Harris, who appeared to initiate the remarks making fun of Paulofunga's past, has been suspended.
I knew immediately, right after I said what I said, it was rude, inappropriate, and definitely not funny. And I apologized right after, but the damage was already done. So right now, I wanted to take this time to make a formal apology for the thoughtless comments I made on the radio this past Friday.
All right.
I definitely didn't mean any harm. I understand it would hurt people and it was very insensitive and rude, and I apologize to Paulofunga, the Hawaii Food Bank, all of our sponsors, and to any listeners that were offended.
We are told that Slick Vic and Paulofunga will be meeting with station executives later today. Crazy Oshiro, who also made light of Funga's homelessness, is on vacation. Here are the comments from Friday's Tanks for Giving fundraiser for the Hawaii Food Bank.
Yeah, I was homeless on the beach
several
times in my life, and it's something I don't really talk about this part about it, but I've eaten from a trash can.
Is it like right out the trash can, or do you put it on a plate first, or
Do you have a box of tissues?
No, but we got a trash can right over there by the bar.
Just in case she's hungry? Yeah, Vic, you make me cry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What a jerk.
Whoa, good one, Vic.
Kids, even as an adult, there'll be still jerks that make fun of you and your pain and your, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell's your problem?
I apologize. I'm sorry.
I'm so sad right now. I don't want to sing.
Paulofunga was awarded the Nahoku Hanahana Award for Most Promising Artist. We have her with us this morning. Friday, you were part of a radiothon that was a fundraiser for the Hawaii Food Bank. You arrived, you got up on stage. How was the exchange before everything kind of went south?
Everything was pretty good, you know. The energy felt really nice and casually fun and you know, lighthearted.
Soon the radio DJs began to say some things that really hit you hard when you were talking about homelessness and hunger, and your thoughts as they said these things to you.
Oh, I was caught off guard. I was like in shock, like what? I couldn't believe my ears. And I tried to laugh it off, you know, but something didn't sit well. I already started crying. I'm an emotional person. Music comes from your heart and soul. So if there's a disturbance in that force, in that element, you know, like of expression, like there's no way I could sing. And I was like done already. Like there's no way I could recover from that and be able to hold myself together and sing. You know, I'm an emotional person. That's where the music comes from. That's where inspiration comes from, you know? And so it was hard to, like, oh my gosh, I have to say something. Like, I got to tell these guys I can't play anymore, you know?
Well, this story's still very much still developing. We're expecting a statement from iHeartRadio here shortly. We will bring that to you if we get it here at This Is Now, but of course we'll send it out to you on our digital platforms as well. Want to switch gears here just a bit. Let's turn it over to Guy Hoggy with a check of our weather.
How's it on this Monday? We're tracking a disturbance near Kauai. That's why there's a chance
that the Garden Island see a few thunderstorms this morning, although slowly things will be dissipating. And that disturbance is also pulling up a band of high clouds and some light showers over the Big Island. Most of those showers are of the light variety. Now, the change today will be in the winds. The trade winds are slowly making a comeback. They won't be all that strong through tomorrow, but after tomorrow on Wednesday, they'll really step on the gas. So for today, light trade winds, a few windward and Mauka showers, lots of leeward sunshine. UV index is high at 6. So out in the surf, there's not a whole lot going on today. Very small, 4 feet or less, so shoulder high or less. And then by tomorrow, look for a little bit of a boost that should get bigger later in the week for north and west shores. South shore is really, really small, basically unrideable for the next couple of days. So we've got slow trade winds today and tomorrow, a few scattered showers. A cold front's going to drop in on Wednesday with more showers as well as stronger winds, and those winds will be even stronger for the weekend. Keep it here on 08 News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Let's see what the internet is buzzing about today, folks. You know, Pepsi just unveiled its first 2-liter bottle redesign, and get this, 30 years. And it was probably time for an update, right? Yeah. All right, Pepsi says the new bottle is easier to pour thanks to this grip point there. You can see it there in that video. At the bottom, it's a quarter slimmer than its old bottle. The bottle will be used in more than 24 Pepsi drinks, including Mountain Dew, Crush. Oh, I love me some Crush. Dr. Pepper. Pepsi says nationwide debut is planned to, quote, in the near future. Coca-Cola has been using very similar bottles for some time now.
All right. And speaking of jumbo-sized products and servings that Americans love so much, because 2020 has many of us trying to cope with comfort foods, Cinnabon is capitalizing on that by selling for the first time its signature cream cheese frosting by the pint.
Okay.
Yep, the same topping that's drizzled on the chain's line of cinnamon rolls. A pint will cost you $6.
I recently had my first Cinnabon. I mean, it's been in the last year I had it. So good.
It is. It's like my ultimate cheat meal.
Yeah.
And a new line of Barbie dolls, you guys, is hitting store shelves today. Mattel is releasing Barbie Extra, 5 dolls that have a playful and over-the-top style. They have a range of body types, skin tones, and facial structures. They're also heavily accessorized.
I love this.
Even the dolls' pets have accessories.
That's so cool. I want to be a part of that category. Cool. You guys, really good news. Some astronauts are headed to the ISS right now on the new space capsule done by SpaceX. Let's turn it over to Mark Strassman now, who has the very latest.
Ignition. 4 astronauts lifted off Sunday night on a SpaceX rocket flight to the International Space Station. U.S. Air Force Colonel Michael Hopkins is leading 2 Americans, physicist Shannon Walker and astronaut Victor Glover, as well as Japanese astronaut Soichi Noguchi, on the 27-hour trip to the space station. Glover will become the first black astronaut to spend an extended period aboard the space station, about 6 months. The astronauts named their SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule Resilience in light of this year's global challenges. This liftoff was given a 50-50 chance of even happening. For NASA and SpaceX, heavy winds scrubbed Saturday's original scheduled launch. After the launch, the rocket's first stage separated from the spacecraft and re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, landing nose up on a drone ship out in the Atlantic. It will be reused for the next crewed flight scheduled for March. Vice President Mike Pence and Second Lady Karen Pence were on hand to watch the launch. The mission, called Crew 1, culminates a 6-year, multi-billion-dollar effort by NASA and SpaceX. It will start a regular crew rotation of flights to the space station using American-made commercial spacecraft. Mark Strassman, CBS News, at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida.
Well, they said why it was named Resilience, but do you know why it's called a dragon?
Why?
Well, it's because Elon Musk said he was taking so much heat saying he was told he couldn't do it, so he named it after Puff the Magic Dragon, sort of because everyone thought it was a fantasy.
Okay.
But he did it. It's working.
The dragon, got it.
Yeah. That's it for This Is Now, guys. On this Monday, so good to be back with you after a little vacation. 1:30, Mayor Caldwell press conference coming up here in just a little bit. Bye, guys.